everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another video talking about trends. So this time around, not necessarily talking about like specific seasonal trends, rather than just trends that I've seen, that I've researched, that I've looked at, that I would like to discuss, that we are taking in and moving into and past 2025. If you haven't seen any of my other trend talk related videos, I will do my best to leave those linked down below. If they're not there, feel free to go check out my channel. Subscribe should you feel so inclined. You will find other style and fashion related content there waiting for you. But today I just want to talk about some of the trends that I wasn't able to get to into my most recent video that really just, again, if it's a trend or it's a fashion thing that I'm into, I'm like, I want to talk about it. I want to share. I'm a girl with a lot of opinions and no degrees. And I love hearing myself talk. So let's just start off strong with this definitely was a winter trend for 2024, 2025 that I wasn't able to talk about. That is a thing that I am very, very already into. I didn't need this to be a trend. I didn't need other people to like it. I was already fully embracing it. And so when something comes up that not already is something that I love, but also something, although kind of sad knowing about how trend cycles work, but I'm like, okay, people are going to like this. Not everyone's going to have it be an end-all be-all thing for them. So after they're done, I can go find this thrifty thing secondhand because it's something that is an end-all be-all, not year-round, but repeating trend in my wardrobe. And that is like ski resort inspired, as well as Fair Isle sweaters. I love knitwear. I will die and be buried in knitwear. I live in Virginia where I can wear knitwear for like 2-3 months out of the year. However, I am still helplessly devoted to it. So seeing the kind of knitwear that I already like being all kinds of in style and whatever brings me no small amount of joy. Again, not necessarily because I need more of it right now. I have plenty to participate in the trend without having to worry about buying anything new. But I always love when a trend comes around that I know after it's done its time, it'll then cycle itself into the secondhand market. That always gets me extremely excited. A fantastic example of something I already own. I mean, I have bajillion ton of sweaters. This is one that I actually got from an online seller on Mercari. I purchased a fair amount of things from her shop, and I will be doing a styling video, styling those things that I purchased. This is one of them. Not only is it like Fair Isle or whatever looking, it is also two of the colors that are really popular. And while we can have a discussion about, is color really a trend versus something that just cycles in and out? Color is color, and I feel like people are like, oh, we saw it on the runway and suddenly this color that we know, we got to give it a new name, we got to give it a fancy something, so that we can take these things that already exist and reinvent them and make people think that they're new so they'll buy different clothing from us. But two of the colors are this kind of like army, I think it's a deeper kind of more khaki green but similar, and butter yellow, which is not something that I would buy like a piece of, just like if this were like all butter yellow, no. But if I want to participate in the trend, I got the Fair Isle, I got the whatever, I got the butter yellow, and people on the street can think I know what I'm doing. When in reality, I just got it because I like it, and the butter yellow was just a happy coincidence. But definitely look out for seeing this in a styling video. I've actually already worn it and have the outfit that I'm going to show you, so very excited about that. Another thing that's shown up to be really popular that I'm like in and out of, which is boho chic. Now, when it comes to trends, I feel like there can be a disconnect when people are talking about like runway trends, because when it comes to trends and styling on the runway, I think it's always important to remember that runway fashion is made to look good on a runway model. A very tall, lean, thin, sleek, silhouette. And because they have such a tall, lean, skinny model, it is a lot easier to make excessive layering look attainable, when in reality, not all of us have this physique or the wherewithal to be able to wear 4, 5, 6 layered pieces of translucent garments to get the look. And while I love boho chic, a lot of people were pointing out Chloe, which sheer is very much in as well now. And I feel like that boho and that sheer fabric trend kind of goes hand in hand, where I find it a little bit less attainable. I really, really like the vibe, because some of that boho chic can lend itself to kind of the mid 90s Y2K revival that I really ascribe myself to. I actually got this piece from the same seller that I got the yellow sweater from. I will leave their shop down below if you are a 90s loving person and you want to get some good straight up vintage stuff. I will leave the name of her shop, link it if I possibly can, down below. But something like this, where you've got the lovely brown, it has the texture here, a little bit of flutter going on here. I think this really nails the trend for me in a realistic, wearable way, rather than looking at all the straightforward, overlayered, excessively accessorized runway things that we take trends from. I like trends in a streetwear environment a bit more than I do looking at them coming down the runway, because while I do love fashion, I also enjoy and appreciate critiquing the toxic elements of it, where kudos to models and everything and all that, but to a regular person, that is exceptionally, extremely unhealthy, unrelatable, and unattainable. So I like the trend. I appreciate some of the elements that it's going to be bringing in. I do think, however, that some of the runway examples just aren't good enough to be able to translate that into a wearable, realistic style. Sportswear is extremely trending right now. I know sort of sportswear, athleisure, think like tracksuit, running pants, think sporty spice. That's definitely, if I were to be a athletic wearing trendsetter, that's definitely more the vibe that I would be going for. My girlfriend and I actually, I don't know if it's her favorite movie, but it's one of her favorite movies of all time, which is the Spice Girls film, Spice World. Watching that whole film, it was a fever dream of fashion inspiration. I was just like, I like that, I like that, I like that, I like that, I like that. And I think the sporty look really does lend itself well to that Y2K era, to where you can have it be a bit more playful. I am seeing a fair amount of that sporty chic look also being made to be worn in a more mature way. Like if you're wearing the running joggers or a certain athletic coat, you dress it up with heels or a fancy slinkier silk or satin top underneath a running blazer jacket thing. It's certainly not a trend that I personally am going to be participating in. I don't think, I have a few pieces that I suppose could be considered sportswear, but not anything that I would really need. I have no desire to go out and be like, okay, well, this is a trend. This is something that I see having lasting power in my wardrobe. I really don't need to go out and buy anything sportswear. It's not something that speaks to me, although in some ways it does incorporate that, you know, comfort casual that I'm looking for and I really enjoy and I vibe with. Just the overall structure of the aesthetic and the style, how it's being styled, how it's being incorporated. It really isn't something that does anything for me. If any of these trends are something that you yourself really love and enjoy, use and wear, definitely let me know down below what pieces, how you style them, you know, why it's something that you enjoy. I always like to say that style is exceptionally subjective. Not only is it extremely cyclical, it's also something that is very personal to each person, each individual. And while I feel like at times it can be very mass marketed, it's like, okay, if you're a fashion person, you need to have this, you need to have this. You need to involve yourself in all of the trends to be able to be considered fashionable. I consider that to be a pretty unrealistic take. One thing that is trending that I am very excited for is elevated basics. And by that, what I take that to mean are things that are considered basics either in your color theory or in the structure of the garment. A basic for me would be a tank top or a short-sleeved crop shirt that it is one of my chosen colors, brown, green, purple, blue. But rather than just going for something that is just a straight up top or a garment with no sort of interest other than it being in your color theory, selecting things like this where it's pretty much a straightforward cropped sweatshirt, but it does have the ribbing here on the cuffs, around the collar, and on the bottom to give it these lines here, a little bit more interest than if it were just a flat piece of clothing. This one I recently thrifted at the Salvation Army. Again, perfect color, perfect structure, but it has the very pretty, I don't know if this is ribbon or just this detail here to give it a little shine. If you're layering and you've got something over this, you can see this poking through. I think it's a great way to get a really good head up on styling, to invest in basics that while they are basic and are very utilitarian in your wardrobe, also to have them have those elements that make it, even when you are doing basics and layering, it still looks a little bit special, a little bit more you, a little bit more detailed, a little bit more elevated. I really enjoy pieces that have nice subtle details that can play off other items of clothing in my wardrobe while still maintaining that status quo of what my style is to me and what I want to represent and show my flesh prison to the world. School ties in kind of a preppy Ivy League college sort of way apparently has been coming up in trend. Think like Letterman jackets, oversized argyle. There's a lot of pleated skirts going on. Very school uniform-esque styling, which certain elements I am definitely all about the argyle, all about the plaid, all about those sort of patterns that do lend themselves. Plaid also being a print not just for fall and winter, being a print for spring and summer has been a trend prediction coming out. I am all for all year round plaid. One of my favorite patterns. While I am not a very preppy dresser to begin with, I think that kind of the Ivy League school, private school, while it can skew a bit 1%-y, kind of cosplaying as a rich person, there are certain elements to it that do vibe in with that 90s Y2K aesthetic rather than going full balls to the wall, oh, I'm going to tennis with my thus and such. Little elements that can be drawn in that can make an outfit more trendy and less kitschy. I think if I could find like a Letterman sweater with the appropriate sort of detail or applique, or if I were to find a sweater that I could take in and DIY and patch up and applique myself, I would be completely and totally down for that. I think it could vibe itself really well in my wardrobe. I love sweaters of just about every size and style. They are my favorite thing. And so I definitely wouldn't say no if I ran into some argyle on the secondhand market that sparked joy within my argyle sweater loving heart. And kind of in that, another thing, another print that has been trending, which initially, it's funny again when you talk about these trends and you're just like, ooh, it's a trend. And you're like, it's a pattern and it's a trend. I guess we're all excited about something that's existed forever, but it's fun, funky, and fresh this year. But I can't let myself get too pissy about it because it's stripes. And if there is something that I like, it is a good striped top. I didn't even wear a lot of stripes, or I'm not even entirely sure, in my teens and early 20s, but as an adult in their 30s, I just cannot get enough of stripes and just absolutely everything. When it comes to me talking about trends, it's more of just a discourse that I want to talk to y'all about trends. I am not someone who looks at trends as a forecast for what I need to wear. I look at them more as a, ooh, that's inspiring, that's interesting, seeing people take those trends and style stripes in ways that I potentially didn't think of, and being able to see something that I already have in my wardrobe be styled and looked at other people from other style sides of the whatever. And I am beyond excited to see people just do all sorts of amazing things. I want to see it in the colder months. I want to see it in the hotter months. I want to see stripes everywhere. You take a sweater, you give it some stripes, and that's just end all be all for me. And I'm not gonna lie, there was the article I was reading through, of course, after they say, this is the trend and this is the whatever, then they have overpriced options for you to buy. And I'm not gonna lie, this was very, very in my color theory, in my whatever. I was like, ooh, that's pretty. But I'm like, you got stripes at home? And you definitely are not going to be buying stripes for that expensive. A couple other things that have sparked my interest is barn jackets. I'm pretty sure I may have talked about this in one of my fall or winter 2025, 2024 trends. I'm not entirely sure, but I am so all over this type of coat right here. I have actually got one on my Mercari's love list that I'm not entirely sure if I want to pull the trigger on. It is beautiful. It is perfect. It is everything that I could look for in a barn jacket. I don't want to participate in this just because it's a trend, but I love the look of this jacket. And in the colder months, when I am much more layering, this piece here is definitely conducive to how I layer my clothing. I think as a coat slash jacket in my wardrobe, it would get a significant amount of use in layering, or as it starts to warm up, or whenever it's cooling down in those transitional seasonal periods. I think it would get a lot of use just in and of itself, not even as a really warm overlayer, but even in those cooler periods just on its own. I was lucky enough to thrift this at the Salvation Army. Now this one is gonna look, I don't know if it even is a barn jacket or if it's just kind of like a barn jackets as well as just kind of the work shirt shacket is really trendy right now. There's Katie Louise, who buys a lot of her stuff from Cezanne and has a very beautiful, minimalistic, but very rich style. She's talked about barn jackets, and this one, while it is ginormous, this is definitely a over layering piece so that I can wear it over like 2 or 3 more layers and still look stylish. The one I'm looking at right now that would be a smaller, more true to my size jacket. It also has the corduroy here. This one has the corduroy cuffs in size. This is a men's, so it's extremely oversized. That's what I bought it for. But I would be interested in investing in a barn jacket that has a practical application in the sense of not just being worn over something as a warm layer, but also as a more refined piece that I can style in a variety of seasons. A few more colors. I talked about the butter yellow. I do find it funny when we have discourse on colors about what is trending and what's popular. For me, color is one of those things that's very personal. I mean, style is personal on a whole, but you look at my closet and I have got the brown, I've got the green, I've got the blue, I've got the purple, I've got some black, but I'm not going to go out and buy like a pop of cherry red. I have a nice pair of these maroon corduroys that I really love, but this is a much deeper, earthier, rustier red. I am simply not someone who, if they come out and they're like, all right, the color is like hot pink, I'm not going to go out and buy something hot pink because it's a trending color, because it's just, it's gonna die in there. It's gonna get attacked and absolutely destroyed by all those other colors I have. Colors for this season, although one, it's called Mocha Mousse. And when I was watching this video, the lady brought up, apparently that's the Pantone color of the year. If you know me, you know that this is my shit. This is just everything that I could ever possibly want. I know that a deeper khaki green is very in. I've got plenty of that. And again, not because I'm like, ooh, this is like my time to shine, that I can finally bring these colors out, because I already have these colors, but exciting to see them styled and then to see them hopefully trickle into the secondhand market. With color, like I said, you have your color theory. There are a couple videos that I've watched with Katie Louise that talks about when you're building your personal style and creating a wardrobe that you really love, utilize, is finding your color palette, you know, because you can be all like, oh, pop a color this, pop a color that, pop a color this. But if it's not one of your go-to pop of colors, it's just going to sit there and it's going to be wasted money. So Mocha Mousse, the green, butter yellow. I have butter yellow. It's not something that I'm going to be buying more of. Pale pink, like ballet, pale pink, which, while I think that could work somehow in my wardrobe, it's still not something that I'm going to go out and buy. A very light blue is trending as well, which is definitely something that I would see myself looking into. I really am looking into putting more blue. I have done pretty well this year. The last couple of 4 months of 2024, I was very successful in incorporating and putting in more blue into my wardrobe. So I'm not necessarily in dire needs of more blue, but it is nice to see a color that I'm interested being trendy, so that again, I can see pieces being styled. I can see things that maybe inspire me for when I am out and thrifting and looking to bring new things into my wardrobe. Last but not least on this video is going to be, apparently there is the anticipation and a rise of maximalist style coming back into the forefront of fashion, which, while I am not a maximalist personally, although people would say that I am, at least with my decor, I used to be someone who bought nothing but statement piece, statement piece, statement piece, statement piece, and then would have massive breakdowns because everything was a statement piece, and it just was not my personal style. After all, I have since learned that I am more of an eclectic dresser. I like to have a variety of styles and finishes and textures and shapes in my wardrobe. I am simply really excited to see people come forward with that maximalist dressing. I get a lot of self-esteem inspiration from people who are maximalists, because it's just someone who can layer so excessively and wear so much. It really is simply an inspiration and something that I really respect as someone who likes fashion, because when I see someone who wears something and is fully committed head to toe, all the way, balls to the wall, true to themselves, it gives me inspiration to look inward and embrace who I am. And even though I may not be like, I'm wearing what they're wearing, gives me inspiration to feel confident in who I am and embrace those style elements that truly bring me joy and make me happy and feel confident. That is actually going to be it for this video. I just had some style elements and some things that I wanted to talk about. I really enjoy doing these videos, having more styling content as I'm getting into the groove of creating my fashion content. Thank y'all so much for watching. I love you. And as always, keep it real.